The sun was setting when I heard the cries. They came from Mama Nkechi's house, and they were loud and desperate. It was the sound of a family torn apart. Once upon a time in our village, there lived a man named Chidi. Chidi was a farmer, but he was always looking for a way to get rich quickly. He wasn't satisfied with what he had, even though he had a loving wife, Nkechi, and two healthy children. One day, a stranger came to our village. He was a wealthy merchant with fine clothes and a horse. He talked about riches and opportunities in faraway lands. Chidi's eyes sparkled with greed as he listened. The next day, Chidi invited the stranger to his home. They talked for hours, and when the stranger left, Chidi had a sly smile on his face. It didn't take long for us to find out what had happened. Chidi sold his wife Nkechi to the stranger. He sold her into slavery for a bag of gold. It was a shocking and heartbreaking event for our village. Nkechi was a kind and hardworking woman. He was loved by everyone. When Nkechi found out what her husband had done, she was devastated. She begged Chidi to change his mind, but he was firm. The stranger took Nkechi away, and her children cried and clung to her, but Chidi put them away. The village elders were furious when they learned about Chidi's actions. They gathered in the village square and summoned him. I was there, standing in the crowd, watching as the elders confronted him. Chidi, what have you done? Elder Okonkwo asked, his voice filled with anger and disappointment. How could you sell your wife for gold? Chidi looked down, unable to meet the eyes of the elders or the villagers. I wanted a better life, he murmured. I wanted to be rich. Elder Okonkwo shook his head. You have brought shame upon yourself and this village. Wealth ain't through such heartless means will bring you nothing but misery. Chidi was cast out of the village. He was given a small plot of land on the outskirts, far from the community he once called home. The villagers took his children and cared for them as their own. Weeks turned into months, and the village tried to move on. But the shadows of Chidi's betrayal lingered. We often gathered around the fire at the night, sharing stories and trying to make sense of what had happened. One night, as we sat around the fire, we heard a distant cry. It was coming from the direction of Chidi's new home. We grabbed our lanterns and ran towards the sound, unsure of what we would find. When we reached Chidi's hut, we saw him sitting outside, clutching the bag of gold. His face was pale and his eyes were filled with regret. He looked up at us, tears streaming down his cheeks. I was wrong, Chidi said, his voice trembling. I thought this gold would make me happy, but it has only brought me pain. I miss my wife and I miss my children. The villagers stood in silence, watching as Chidi's shoulder shook with sobs. It was clear that he was not happy with himself or what he had done. The wealth he had gained meant nothing without his family. Chidi gathered the gold and stood up. I must find Nkechi, he declared. I will return this gold and beg for her forgiveness. We followed Chidi as he made his way to the merchant's camp. The journey was long and arduous, but Chidi was determined. He was a changed man, driven by the need to make things right. When we arrived at the merchant's camp, Chidi fell to his knees before the merchant. Take back your gold, he pleaded. I want my wife back. I was a fool to think that wealth was more important than my family. The merchant, seeing Chidi's sincerity, agreed to return Nkechi. We watched as Chidi and Nkechi embraced, tears of relief and joy streaming down their faces. It was a moment of hope and redemption. Back in the village, Chidi and Nkechi stood before the elders and the villagers. Chidi bowed his head in shame and spoke with a humble heart. I beg for your forgiveness, he said. I let my greed destroy my family. I promise to spend the rest of my life making it right. Though it wasn't easy, the villagers saw the genuine remorse in Chidi's eyes. Slowly, they began to forgive him. Nkechi, too, forgave her husband, understanding that his regret was sincere. Chidi worked hard to rebuild his life and his family. He became a better man, one who valued love and family above all else. The village, though scared by the past, healed with time, and Chidi's story became a lesson for all about the dangers of greed and the power of forgiveness.